Yo, what's going on guys, it's Anime1 back here with another video, and today I'm here with another part of What If Naruto had the Jougan. So if you guys like the content in the channel, please subscribe to the channel, and also while you're at it, drop a like on this video. So without any me rambling, let's begin the video. Naruto stared at the burning from his dear village and the hundreds of enemy fighters pouring inside of his home. Beside him, Orochi had tears in his eyes, while Ada and a few other Chunins had their fists clenched, anger and sadness burning in their eyes. He blinked away the tears that threatened to spill from his own eyes. Taking a deep breath and remembering his oath to his Kage, he turned towards his ninjas and nearly 250 civilians whom they were assigned to protect and transport to Konoha. Many of them were crying, several were trembling with fear and anxiety, some were just sitting defeatedly waiting for their death. All of them were surprised when Naruto stepped forward, his young and determined eyes staring into their defeated gaze. You all think we are the unlucky ones, don't you? We have lost our homes, our leader, our families, limited supply, limited people, and scattered deep inside enemy lines. Maybe it would have been better for us to die quickly beside our warrior and the Uzukage instead of dying out here slowly. Where shall we go? What shall we do? Said Naruto loudly. Ada gasped in horror on hearing what Naruto was saying. Orochi flinched on seeing how further depressed the civilians and even few ninjas were becoming. Centuries ago, our forefathers founded the Uzumaki clan. They were also attacked like us. They too had their home taken away. Yet they fought on. They never gave up. They never gave up hope. They always looked for the future, and they have sacrificed a lot. Look around you, at your kids, at everyone beside you. If you want to die, then I will gladly walk beside you and march towards the enemy forces, and we can die an honorable death. Or we can fight on. We can show our enemies that we are not defeated, that the Uzumaki can never be defeated, as long as even one of us remains. On the memory of our ancestors, our beloved Kage, our friends and families, I, Uzumaki Naruto, pledge to find us a new home. Naruto looked at his people in the eye and walked between them. The journey won't be easy. We shall face many hardships, and we will rebuild our home, our family. We will not give up, said Naruto proudly. The boy stood at attention and gave a crisp salute to his people. Say, we all. Ida and Orochi stepped beside Naruto, stood beside their friend shoulder to shoulder and saluted the people. So say we all. All the remaining ninjas stood behind Naruto one after another and yelled in proud, determined voice. The civilians rose back to their feet and proudly looked at their new leader. So say we all, they all said. Skip. Ada sat atop a branch of a tall tree, her gaze fixed between the parameters they had created and her group of civilians, as well as a few remaining Uzumaki ninjas. It was nearly evening, and their people seemed to be relaxing a little. Not that you could blame them, since the past few days had been extremely hard, even brutal. Escaping from Uzu was not easy. The enemy forces were like hell-bent on killing every last Uzumaki who resisted. Those who wanted to surrender would only be turned into slaves. Their groups had gone through many hardships, lack of food, water, sleep, and loads of fatigue were most noticeable ones. Surprised, Naruto had taken over the role of the leader of the group, although he didn't have much of a choice in that matter since no other ninjas were willing to take the lead, yet that decision turned out to be the right one. So far, Naruto's calm, collected attitude was the only reasons that civilians had not panicked and done something crazy. Yet she knew what was going on inside her friend's mind. The way his eyebrows furrowed up, the manner in which he clinically listened to anything related to Konoha, his constant alert attitude when they all entered the Fire Nation made her arrive at a very disturbing conclusion. Naruto did not trust Konoha, and why he couldn't, she didn't know. Why? She was interrupted from her thoughts when Noda, a fellow Chunin, tapped her in the shoulders. Both of them exchanged a firm nod. A faint smile appeared on Ada's lips as her guard shift was finished. Off the tall tree, she marched towards the only person who could answer the stupid question that was bulging her heart. She raised an eyebrow when she saw Arashi and Naruto standing there. The boys seemed to be discussing something while looking at the map placed on the ground before them. I want you to set up barriers here, here, and here. Traps should be set in every direction, and I want 4 scouts to patrol the perimeters, 4 shifts, 2 hours each. Then next group will take the watch. Can you make that happen, Hiroshi? Asked Naruto seriously. Yes, I can, but don't you think you're being overly serious? Asked Arashi hesitantly. He's right. We've taken off the enemy forces in pursuit, and now we are in the Fire Nation's borders. We're safe for the moment. Ida chimed in as she arrived beside her 2 comrades. Don't be naive, Ada. We will never be safe, said Naruto harshly, his stone-cold eyes staring into her own. Kage said that he has already sent word to the Hokage. We have tried to argue with Urashi, but he was cut off. Katsuro-sama is dead, and a dead man have no rights, said Naruto flatly, making his 2 friends flinch. How can he say that? He could still be alive, said Arashi hesitantly, making Naruto sigh. You're free to believe what you want, but Arashi, it won't change the reality, and deep down, you know it, replied Naruto coldly. Arashi took a step forward, but he was stopped when Ada stepped between them, placing her hand on Arashi's chest as she shook her head. Naruto didn't react to the action. With a frustrated sigh, Arashi walked away, leaving his 2 friends alone. He better carry out the orders I gave him, or we'll all end up dead, said Naruto as he focused on the map. You know he will, Naruto. You don't have to be so hard on him. Arashi is just, suggested Ada, not finding the right words as Naruto looked at her. You still believed in something, a luxury I can't afford, replied Naruto. For the first time, Ada saw the dark marks beneath Naruto's eyes and how his eyes sometimes blink slowly. When you to sleep last? Asked Ada worriedly, placing her hand on Naruto's cheek. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Ada growled at him, grabbing him by the collar of his shirt. She slammed him into a nearby tree, her eyes connected with the surprised ones. They stayed like that for a long time. Nothing was said, and yet she saw it all in his eyes. They're all dead, whispered Naruto. She wrapped her arms around him. Next second, her tears had already dried up, yet the sadness remained everlasting in her heart. And Ada knew the boy in her arms felt the same way. She was relieved that he was hesitantly hugging her back. We'll make it through this, all of us, I promise, said Ada. I was never asked to be the leader. I don't know how I can keep everyone safe, confessed Naruto, making her smile. You've got this far without losing anyone. I would say that's a pretty good start, don't you agree? Now, more than anything the rest of us could have done in your situation, said Ada proudly. Naruto leaned back and looked at the blue-haired girl straight in the eyes. He grasped her cheeks with his hands and spoke in a soft tone. We shouldn't go to Konoha, Naruto said, hesitantly. Why? Asked Ada patiently. I can give you a solid reason. I've got this feeling in my gut. Please, Ada, you have to trust me, requested Naruto. She caressed his cheek. I do trust you, but where can we go if not Konoha? she asked. Anywhere but there. Ada smiled. It's about her, isn't it? Asked the blue-haired girl, making Naruto look away. There is that too, but this is not about her. We simply can't trust Konoha. Where the hell were they when our village was attacked? Why didn't they send help when we called? Why did Kushina ignore our SOS? The simple answer is, they didn't bother, said Naruto harshly. You don't know that, and your mother will never abandon you to die, insisted Ada as Naruto laughed. Like she didn't abandon me for my entire life. Ada flinched. No matter what she wanted to say, it could never change the fact that despite having parents, Naruto grew up as an orphan. She had heard the story of a young Kushina leaving her infant son in Uzu. The Uzukage was the one who looked after Naruto, and the villagers were the most cruel towards Naruto. He had been alone from the start. There would be a regular letters from Kushina, which Naruto replied to at the first, but on realizing that his mother was never going to visit him, he stopped. No, he didn't even store the letters. Whenever he received one, he would just throw them to a castband. From then on, he made his own way, learning things on his own, becoming a ninja, a strong fighter. In doing that, he stopped being less and less attached with people. Even now, he wanted to protect their surviving clan members because it was a mission, and he cared about them to some extent, but he barely knew a handful of them. Naruto only trusted a few people. Unfortunately, she was one of them, but he didn't trust the mother, who was never there, because all he knew of Kushina would never even be his mother, and it would be a cold day in hell before he trusted Konoha, the village that was at least partially responsible for his messed up life, the one that took his mother away, the nation that definitely turned his back when Uzu needed them the most, but they had nowhere else to go. It made her realize something. You're not coming to Konoha, are you? Asked Ada, knowingly making him smile a little. You know me too well. Replied Naruto with a shrug. Naruto, she said, I'll get the civilians to Konoha and complete my mission. Then I'll leave, confessed Naruto. And go where? Asked Ada irritably. Anywhere but Konoha. The world is a large place. I'm sure I'll find somewhere, said Naruto coolly. There is a world war going on, Naruto, argued Ada, and surprised to see the determined gaze on his face. I'm a loyal ninja to Uzu. I would rather die than swear my loyalty to any other village, not even Konoha, and I have my own goal, said Naruto confidently. And what is that? Ada asked, narrowing her eyes at the boy. I want to recreate the Uzumaki clan, said Naruto. I was shocked. It had taken the entirety of the Uzumaki clan to recreate their village, and that was too before the shinobi nations were formed. And now there was barely a few hundred of them, out of which barely 50 of them were ninjas. How could he possibly even dream of such an impossible feat? It's impossible, Naruto, said Ada in disbelief. You so say, but I'll prove you wrong, Naruto said stubbornly. There can be no peace in this war-torn world, Naruto, said Ada sadly, and took a step back when she saw a dangerous fire burning in his eyes. Rashi, who had been silently listening to the conversation from the cover of behind the tree, also intrigued by the determination that was present in Naruto's eyes to stop this fighting. I'll become the god of this world, if that's what it takes. With those words, Naruto picked up his tanto and started to walk away. Rashi, stop hiding. Grieving and crying won't change anything. The only thing we need to accomplish our desires is power, said Naruto harshly. Ada was stunned. She couldn't even say a word when Arasi emerged from his hiding spot and quickly joined Naruto. The boys exchanged firm nods and turned towards their female teammate. "We're going to scout the eastern route. Can you keep things under control while we return?" asked Naruto seriously. "Nakamaru and Todo's group were also going to meet us here. We'll check if they're there or not," said she, getting a nod in return. "Alright, be careful, you two." She only received two cocky smirks in return. She had silently been following his friends from the past few hours. Neither of them had said anything to each other, and the only sound that was made was the occasional thunk when their feet connected with the branches as they both hopped from tree to tree. Konoha had also entered the Third Great Ninja War, as most of the shinobi were on the front lines. Thankfully, it only allowed the Uzumaki to move a little freely, at least according to Naruto. "You really mean it?" asked Arashi, making his masked friend look back. "Yes." Arashi smirked, but it's just like Naruto to answer questions like this with minimum words. "How will it bring peace for all of us?" which Katsura-sama wanted, asked Arashi curiously. "I don't know as of yet, but Arashi, I believe that if I give it my all, then it can be achieved. I just have to believe in it." "How about you?" questioned Naruto. "You are my best friend, Naruto. We always had each other's back for as long as I can remember. If you believe that going to Konoha is not the right choice, then I'll follow you wherever you go," said Arashi. "It's like that?" said Naruto curiously, making Arashi giving a cheeky smile. "I'm the only one who can keep up with your stuck-up ass attitude," that panted Arashi. His friend smiled a little. "Asshole." Arashi smiled on hearing that remark, knowing it was a well-said affection. As they continued their journey, they heard something, which Naruto rarely said to anyone. "I'm lucky to have friends like you." A slight smile came on Arashi's face as he stopped beside Naruto. None of them said another word. A complete silence continued their journey, knowing how precious they were to each other. However, the smile disappeared on the boy's face when he sensed something disturbing. Frantically, he activated the seal on his arm and was alarmed when he didn't get any response in return. "Naruto," warned Arashi. "I know," replied Naruto. The two of them madly dashed towards the location where they were supposed to meet at with the remaining troops of survivors who had escaped from Uzu. Arashi stopped dead in his tracks, his eyes widened as shocked gazed from his lips. "No, no. No, damn it," replied Naruto in a panicked voice, completely losing his calm demeanor, which he had managed to maintain till now. Both of them painfully stared at the bodies. Nearly 400 of his clansmen were there. The entire Uzumaki clan was on fire, their bodies scattered everywhere. Green grass had turned blood red. Trees and bushes were destroyed due to the heavy fighting. Weapons lay scattered everywhere, with some still being held by the former users. Naruto quickly rushed towards the right side, and Rashi soon followed. Together they came across Nakamaru, who was barely breathing. "Arashi, first aid," said Naruto quickly, as Arashi took out his pouch while his friend kneeled down to take the injured young Chunin in his arms. "Save it, Naruto, it's too late for me," replied Nakamaru, coughing up blood. Naruto tried to block the blood flow but the rather large hole in his comrade's stomach, but he was not a medic, and his comrade was too badly injured to be saved. "Who did this?" asked Arashi sadly. He knelt down and grasped his 12-year-old comrade's arm. "I don't know. They suddenly ambushed us. It was chaos. They were too fast. We couldn't see them," confessed Nakamaru. "They killed everybody?" asked Naruto furiously. "Almost. Naruto, they took the children's. I couldn't save them. So before he could complete the sentence, Naruto gasped when the injured boy collapsed in his arm, his eyes closing forever. Sasha gently helped in laying the corpse respectfully towards the ground and placing the dead body, swords back in his hand. He saw Naruto quickly wiping away the tears, yet the anger and pain could only seem to be increasing every passing seconds. Urashi looked around his massacred people. The only one thought came to his mind. To come this far, to only thought Urashi sadly. Urashi, we need to go, said Naruto painfully. We should bury them, Naruto requested Urashi, and saw a regretful look in his friend's eyes. There's nothing more we can do for them right now, but we must protect the people that are alive. Let's go, insisted Naruto. Realization dawned on Urashi as he instantly got back to his feet. Both of them started dashing back towards their own group to warn them of their remaining comrades, the only ones who were the last Uzumaki left in the world. Naruto froze when he arrived. His hands were shaking, his legs were trembling, his heart was beating madly, his eyes flickering from one direction to other. Beside him, Arashi collapsed on his knees and was openly crying, for there lay in front of them was another massacre. Men, women, old people, all killed. The same devastation that had rained down on the previous Uzumaki groups had occurred to their people. Someone had systematically attacked them, wiping them all out, and there was no sign of Ada anywhere. Alongside with the children of their camp, Naruto quickly took out his tanto, deflecting all the hail of sharp kunais that would have killed him and Urashi. His last friend quickly took a position beside Naruto's back, his eyes now turning sharp and scanning their surroundings. Through the shock, they saw human shadows emerge from every direction. Why didn't we sense them? Asked Arashi worriedly. The only one skilled enough to evade our sensory powers could be Anbu, said Naruto darkly. Proven right when several ninjas dressed in armor uniform emerged from trees, bushes, underground, water. There were all so many of them. Their swords were stained with blood of all the Uzumaki that they had killed. Not even one of them made a sound, even as they surrounded the two boys from all sides. Get me the sword one. He can still be the use to us, instructed a cold voice. Naruto looked up to see another Anbu standing on top of one of the trees, his face covered also by an animal mask, like his minions, a large sword being strapped on his back. What Naruto didn't fail to miss was the man's eye on Nagato. Did you kill my people? Asked Naruto coldly. So you are the leader of this group. What a failure. You are as a shinobi. Taunted, Anbu. Why did you do this? Asked Hachi in a broken tone. Future of the hidden leaf. The Uzumaki must be processed. Answered a calmly man. You butchered innocent civilians. You reared our allies, you bastard, yelled Arashi in a betrayed tone, tears filling his eyes. There is no such thing as allies in this ninja world. If you were a true ninja, then you would have understood that. No sane village would have spent their resources after civilians. Uju did this foolish mistake and paid for it, said Ananbu coldly. You gave those villages the location of our own home. Konoha betrayed us, said Naruto icily, his grip on his tanto tightening, even as the Anbu neared towards him. The alliance was too costly for our village, giving you hundreds of yen every year, along with food, medical supplies, was too worthless. Instead, we can use the same supplies to establish our dominance over the world. The remaining Uzumaki children will also be meaningful lives while serving Konoha. I will give you the same choice, suggested the Anbu leader. Who are you? Asked Ashi, that seemed to have destroyed any patience left in the Anbu leader. He simply gave a nod, and the next second, Naruto froze when the two Anbu appeared right in front of him. Slash! Naruto opened his eyes and saw Arashi placed himself between the two Anbus and his last friend. Two large slashes appeared across the boy's chest as he stared at Naruto with painful eyes. Run. With that, Arashi collapsed. The Anbu surrounded the trembling boy from all sides, their weapons raised to strike as their leader gave a nod. Naruto's terrified eyes still fixed on Arashi's unmoving form, his body motionless, eyes closed, a pool of blood forming beneath him, drenching every grass. Memories of Uzu's destruction, the massacre of his people, Ada's smiling face, Arashi's promise, and finally this, the Anbu stabbed Naruto and pinned him down. Don't worry, you'll join the rest of the clan soon, said the Anbu, as he retracted his sword away from Naruto's chest. Naruto collapsed, and his eyes closed. His breath stopped. The pulse in his neck stopped. The Anbu made sure to see that Naruto was dead by checking his pulse. He's dead, said the Anbu. All of them quickly nodded to each other and started running away. Naruto was still alive, and that would be the greatest mistakes to not finish him off. Naruto felt rage, extreme amount of rage, for taking his village, his friends, everything away from him. Then he felt power coursing through his veins. He stood up. Naruto was just making that noise. Lifted his head up. His right eye was his normal blue, but his left eye was different. It was pulsating with power, unbridled power. This eye was even greater than the legendary Rinnegan. It had a black iris and a bluish whitish glow in his pupil, and Naruto had a calm look on his face. He looked at the direction that the Anbu leaped off. What he could see was the Anbu. They were a couple of kilometers away, but the strange thing was, he could see their chakra pathways like a Byakugan. And not only that, he could also see what way they were going at. You could see their chakra tracking, and that was also not it. They were moving extremely slow, very slow. They were moving like a civilians. Before, he thought they were a Kage level shinobi, but that was not true. They were just lowly Anbu, maximum Jonin level shinobis, but now Naruto saw it. They were slow. A mad grin appeared on his face. It's time for them to pay.